Hey everybody, it's the Rugged Nerd here, coming to you live from the Rugged Nerd Studios. It is April 30th, 2023, evening here, Sunday night. Just had a wonderful day hanging out with some of the family for my middle son's birthday party. And I wanted to just take a few minutes here to share a couple things I've had questions about this week before wrapping up the day. So I get constantly asked, what kind of camper we have, and I can say we have a camper, a travel trailer, an RV, and a lot of these words just seem synonymous or over someone's head, not knowing the difference between something like a travel trailer versus a Class A or C motorhome. And just wanted to take a couple minutes today, go through what is the difference between the different types of general campers or RVs, recreational vehicles, and also share kind of our experience of what we've found that's worked well for us with the travel trailer ourselves. And then, open this up for questions on the back end, either through comments or through email, contacts or any of our social media page, whether that's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Just hit us up. I'm happy to answer any questions I can to help make more sense of all this stuff. So, and then I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to recognize our chosen brew of the day, Intercoastal Breweries, down in Melbourne, Florida. Melbourne, not Melbourne. Melbourne, I've been told it's pronounced. Down at Intercoastal, it's one of the local breweries down there. And today I have the Dragon IPA. It's a nice, I would say more of the hazy side. If you're into IPAs, it's the way to go. And it's being kept cold by Brown's Irish Market, the oldest Irish market outside of Ireland, here in Kansas City, out on Pennsylvania Avenue, around about 135 years. Got a nice little koozie from those folks, and wonderful place to go in the Kansas City area if you're down here. So if you're in Melbourne or east coast of Florida, running up and down A1A, and want to grab a pint, Intercoastal Brewery is a great place to stop. And if you're in Kansas City, check out Brown's Irish Market. So without further ado, I'm going to switch over and we're going to start talking about the different classes of these recreational vehicles. Okay, so without further ado, let's pull it up here. So I've managed to hijack a couple different graphics for today's conversation, mostly from retirementliving.com. These folks have put together a nice little graphic visual here for us to work through and look at what are the different types of classes that you can see here. Now you'll notice there's only 6 on the screen. There are a couple others I'll mention, and if you see them, you'll know them just by their description. But ultimately, these are the main 6 you're going to see. So if you find yourself down at like a Camping World or an RV dealership or one of those folks that are trying to move this type of product, you will find these are the main types that they'll have on either the showroom floors or out on the dealership outdoor lots, right? So I'm just going to step through these real quick. In the top left, we'll start with the first one. This is the Class A diesel. This thing is monstrously large. They're the ones you see rolling up and down looking like tour buses. They generally have a number of slides and awnings on them. They have a built-in diesel vehicle engine and obviously a drivetrain. Generally 4 wheels. Some of them might have the extra 2 in the back depending on the size. And these Class A's are going to be capable of pulling a smaller vehicle, what's called a toad, right? Something that's on the back end, either through a hitch or through someone looking for a vehicle mount, right? The 2 arms that are going to hold that vehicle stable as you're towing it behind, so you can make your way around town after you've pulled in with your Class A. The positives for these is obviously it's nice to have the mobility and having the actual luxury that comes with these. Usually their interiors are at a higher caliber or higher degree of quality. They're not just a bunch of laminates necessarily. The fixtures themselves, the furniture, the like countertops, the cabinetry, all that stuff is a little bit usually higher grade. There's a massive amount of storage on these things, especially underneath, like when you're looking at the pass-throughs. So you can see here these pass-through and side compartments are going to have a lot of extra storage in there as well. These are generally good for a individual. There'd be a lot of square footage for a single person, and it's a high expense. If you're bankrolled to do that, go for it, right? And that's what you want. But generally, they're good for retired couples or for smaller families. Maybe 1 or 2 kids. Once you get, like us, we've got 5 of us and 2 dogs. It starts to get a little bit cramped in these spaces to do long term. Shifting over just a little bit, we've got a Class A gas, very similar. Just notice that it's a little bit smaller. They don't need the same torque and horsepower necessarily that the bigger Class A diesels are going to move. They're going to be a little bit shorter. generally in size, and then also the maintenance on them is going to be a little bit lower in terms of like the number of moving parts, fixtures, and those types of things. And you also might see, depending on the model, you could have a high luxury side all the way down to a more economical version with the gas. And pivoting over one more step here, we're going to get our Class Cs. And you'll notice the front end of these, they look a lot more like a truck or a bus front end, right? Like the box trucks on the front of the U-Haul or a van front. And then usually on these, what you'll find is over that driving compartment, you're going to have a bunk bed or extra storage of some sort. And then you'll have the slides, if those are available, and then usually one or two restrooms, depending on the size of these. But they're going to be smaller than your Class A's. They're going to be a drivable front. And with both Class A and Class C, you can transition directly from the driver seating area all the way to the back of the other parts of the RV. And you'll also generally see the front two seats, the driver and passenger on the front of these, are going to be able to rotate 180 degrees backwards and become part of the seating area for the regular part of the cabin, the living areas and living quarters. And then down here on the bottom left, we're going to look at the Class Bs. These are basically travel vans or recreational vans. They're going to be the smallest of those three of Class A, B, and C. They're going to be the smallest of them. They're generally for like one or two people, right, at most. They're going to be a lot more maneuverable in things like town. You can also off-road with them a lot easier if that's what you're looking for. And it's actually more economical if you're looking to have that smaller environment, but that experience of being able to go and camp and try this thing out. And then again, these both come in gas and diesel depending on the vehicles. And they're like I said, very mobile, very versatile in where you can take them. You don't have to worry about bottoming out or having your vehicle too long to get to the more remote camping areas. They're really good for boondocking. Just things to keep track of is obviously you don't have large gray, white, or gray, fresh, or black water tanks, and that's the different types of tanks that you're going to have for your RV usage and wastewater. Next one over is the fifth wheel. This is the largest of the trailer type that are pulled behind. You'll notice that it's called a fifth wheel because it actually mounts into the truck bed here by this type of hitch versus mounting on a hitch post like you get with the travel trailers over here. But the fifth wheels themselves are generally much larger in terms of space. They're much heavier, and especially like the more slides, the more weight you're going to get with any of these trailers. But the fifth wheels have the longest length and generally the most amount of slides of the travel trailer types. And then also with them, you're going to have you're going to have larger capacities with your tanks generally because of their size and their lengths. I've seen them as long as 45, 46 feet. They can be very, very long compared to some of their other competitor trailers, right? And then the last one over here in the bottom right, which is what we have, a travel trailer. You notice it has a smaller capacity. It doesn't have this overhang over the front. It does not mount into the bed with a fifth wheel hitch. It instead mounts to the back with a trailer hitch, just like you would with towing a boat trailer or any type of thing that mounts on the back for towing capacity. And you notice that it's going to carry it's not going to carry as much weight. These are not going to be as heavy, generally speaking, as your fifth wheel's capacity could be. They're also going to have a lighter construction, generally speaking, because of that lighter weight. So they may not be so, I would say, solid under like rough conditions with roads, or like if you have like what's what I'm looking for, some type of, I don't want to say turbulence, but shaking or whatever. You're going to feel that way more in a travel trailer than you will in the weightier fifth wheel, right? But that's the main six, really, and I just wanted to talk through when folks talk about what type of trailer do you have, what type of camper do you have, what's your RV. We have a travel trailer ourselves, but you might hear them refer to these as Class A, Class B, Class C, fifth wheel travel trailer. And the ones that aren't pictured here are what are called teardrops. Those are very small. You can actually tow them with a small SUV. It sleeps like basically it's a bed, maybe a little bit of kitchenette that you can pull out on the side or something you can mount to the outside of it, or it might pop up and provide a little bit of extra tent space for sleeping and occupancy. But it's very, very small, very light, couple thousand pounds, right? Not looking at anything too crazy. And then the other one is the box-mounted, the bed-mounted truck camper. So on the back of like a pickup truck, you can actually have those campers, and I'm sure you've seen them if you looked out on the road as you're driving around. They actually sit down into the bed of the truck, and then as the truck is driving, they just rest on that bed. And when they park somewhere, the truck can actually, you can raise those legs that hold it in place and then pull the truck out from underneath it and take that truck for driving around town while keeping your bed camper in place. So that's the main ones. I just wanted to talk through these, and then just real quickly, I wanted to highlight again from retirementliving.com. Folks were kind enough to put together a little chart that summarizes mostly what we've talked about in terms of Class A, B, C, travel trailer, and fifth wheel. Here you can rapidly see the sizes, the costs, and the general occupancy of what it can sleep. And you'll notice the travel trailer is surprisingly lower cost, but up to 10 people, and that's because the fifth wheelers generally have a dedicated bedroom, and they don't work so hard to convert the living areas into bed spaces. They're really meant to be living areas, right? But the travel trailers, you'll notice, like in ours, we have a fold-away Murphy bed, a queen-size Murphy bed that sleeps two. We've got a kitchen dinette on the slide that comes out, and that can sleep two people. If you convert, put the table down, pull the back cushions off, and set those down, you can sleep two there. And then we have two bunk beds, each which can sleep two people as full, like obviously more youth-sized beds, like two full-size beds. But in total, we're rated for up to 8 people on our 25-foot travel trailer. So just some notes there in terms of what are the different capacities and then the costs associated and involved. Obviously, the larger ones or anything with an engine is going to cost significantly more than one without, but you're obviously going to have a vehicle then to tow those different weight classes of depending on if you have that travel trailer or fifth wheel. And travel trailers themselves, they can be as light as a couple thousand pounds if they have no slides and are just a light construction to 12, 14, 15,000 pounds, right? And then your fifth wheels can get all the way up to 18 or 20, depending on those larger 40 plus feet. I've seen them go over 40, even though this says 21 to 40 feet. They could be significantly longer. So that said, again, I just wanted to share a couple things in terms of these different classes. Hope this was helpful and informative to you. If you do have any questions, please do hit me up in the chat. In the meantime, I'm going to pop on over to my Dragon IPA and enjoy that from Intercoastal Brewing. And you guys take care of each other and stay awesome. Hit me up if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll catch you at the next one.